Let's jump over to the Big Ten. Rutgers. How are we looking over there, Tom?
Nothing says sexy like Rutgers. Right in the middle of the Big Ten last year, finished at 7-6, 4-5 overall in the Big Ten. A rate bowl loss against Kansas State by a score of 44-41.
Great game, by the way.
It was a great game. It was a very entertaining game, and Avery Johnson looked good in that game at least. Won their first 4 games last year, including at ACC foe Virginia Tech and against Big Ten opponent, Washington. Then lost 4 straight at Nebraska versus Wisconsin versus UCLA at USC. Then won 3 of the last 4 against Minnesota, at Maryland, and at Michigan State. Had a loss to their only ranked opponent of the year, number 25. Illinois. 4 of their 6 losses came by 7 points or less. Very, very important. The amazing thing about this Greg Schiano team for 2024 is there is a fair amount of talent going to the National Football League that may surprise people. The poster child, of course, Mr. Run Angry running back Kyle Monangai, who put up tremendous numbers over the last few years in Piscataway. Wide receiver Dymere Miller, number 1 wideout last year. Cornerback Robert Longerbeam, who played just about every position for them during his time in Piscataway. Defensive lineman Keontae Hamilton. And then most of their secondary is gone to the National Football League. Defensive back Shaquan Loyal, safety Flip Dixon, a defensive back Desmond Igbinosun, defensive back Eric Rogers, and also edge Tyreen Powell. So they have a lot to replace on the defensive side of the ball. In terms of losses in the transfer portal, it's not too bad. Wide receiver Chris Long going off to Syracuse is the one that you saw regularly, but just about everybody else, depth players, but 11 out of 17 are transfers out on defense. So again, defense is going to be a question mark going into this season. Key returns, I'm not too excited about it, but quarterback Ethan Kaliakmanis, I've watched him in his time at Minnesota and now at Rutgers. There's still a lot to be desired. He can look very robotic at times, but he did take steps last year. He can make some plays with his legs. He's got to get more consistent as a passer. I think running back Antoine Raymond is going to step in where Monangai left off, and I'll get to him more in a minute. You get back linebacker Mohamed Toure, who missed 2024 with a torn ACL. He was second in tackles and first in sacks in 2023. Then you also have coming back linebacker Daryl Jabome. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. First in tackles last year in the absence of Toure, third in sacks last year. You also have wide receivers KJ Duff and Ian Strong coming back. On the defensive side of the ball, you're happy to have defensive lineman Jordan Walker and Bo Masco in the secondary coming back. 4 out of 5 starters along the offensive line are back, so that makes you feel pretty good. In the transfer portal, you got Cam Miller, defensive back from Penn State, who was up and down last year. Edge player Bradley Weaver from Ohio U. Tight end Colin Weber from Charlotte. There's some interesting expectations for him. Wide receiver D.T. Sheffield from North Texas. People expect he could maybe be in the starting lineup. Running back C.J. Campbell Jr. from FAU. There's expectations he could be battling with Raymond for the starting running back job. Defensive lineman Doug Blue Eli from USF, cornerback Jacoby Henderson from Marshall, defensive end Eric O'Neill from James Madison, and then defensive back Jet Elad from UNLV. This is a tougher schedule. In 2025, they're home against Iowa September 20th, at Minnesota September 27th, at Washington October 11th. We talked about Damon Williams II last week here on this show. Home against Oregon October 18th, at Illinois November 1st, at Ohio State November 22nd, and home against Penn State to end the season November 29th. I see 5 wins for sure on their 2025 schedule. It's not easy for all the teams that I just mentioned. This could be tough for Greg Schiano defensively. So much production is off to the National Football League. Ethan Kaliakmanis has to take a step, and someone has to replace the production in the running game that Monangai created the last few years. X Factor, the aforementioned Mohamed Toure. What's his physical status? Coming off of an ACL is no small thing, but coming back for his final season with the Scarlet Knights, I think he's going to be a big shot in the arm for this defense going into this season. And I talked about it before. There will be running back competition. CJ Campbell Jr. plus Samuel Brown the fifth and Ja'Shawn Benjamin. All Benjamin and Brown played last year for Rutgers. Campbell coming in from FAU. Antoine Raymond as the number 2 behind Monangai, who was the bell cow. 457 yards rushing, 4.6 yards per carry, 8 rushing touchdowns. So an increased workload versus Minnesota and at USC, and played well. He shined in the Rate Bowl loss against Kansas State with no Monangai. 18 carries, 113 yards, 3 touchdowns, 6.3 yards per carry. plus a catch for 16 yards. With most of that offensive line coming back, plus Raymond, plus some other factors at tailback, you'd take the load off of Callie McManus. But this is an offense that I wouldn't say is going to be able to score in bunches. It's going to be a more traditional Greg Schiano team. Shocker. They're going to want to run the football, but they're going to have to score some points because they've got a lot of pieces to make up for on defense.
Cole, you got anything on Rutgers? We went from like the sexiest SEC team to
Yeah, sure. That's actually it. Like Rutgers at this point feels like that steel mill meat and potatoes type of program. Like, yeah, cool. It's not sexy, but you'll get the job done. And you'll be okay working a 9 to 5 for the next 80 years of your life.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the feel at this point? Like, hey, Greg Schiano, if we go 7-5 every single year, we're content, even though that we're in the Big Ten and we've seen other programs spend some money, put some resources out there, and take that next step forward when we're just cool, maybe at best being ranked inside the AP top 25 for a weekend.
Yeah, you're chilling. And I'm actually impressed the way that they've recruited their 30th overall in the nation, according to On3 for this 2025 class, 9th in the Big Ten. It's mostly 3 stars. The prize possession is safety Tariq Hayer out of Upper Marlboro, Maryland, who's a 4-star, but they do a really good job at Rutgers of dominating that eastern corridor. They get a lot of talent out of New Jersey and New York, which is to be expected, but there's plenty of talent to be had there. But you still have just about every major program in the country trying to do the exact same thing in that corridor. Rutgers is at least doing what they do best. They're staying home. They're making sure they attempt to win the state of New Jersey. And Greg Schiano continue to coach very, very well. So, even if the talent isn't there, he'll get the most out of them.